Are we on the verge of witnessing the biggest crash in US dollar history? Financial experts, including Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, have been warning about an impending collapse, and many believe BRICS is at the heart of the issue. While there are various factors contributing to the dollar's decline, the strategic moves of BRICS appear to be accelerating the crisis. So, how is the US reacting? Instead of fortifying the dollar, former President Donald Trump has issued a threat to impose 100% tariffs on nations that abandon the dollar. But is this move enough to stave off disaster? Let's explore the unfolding scenario. For decades, the US dollar was celebrated as the cornerstone of global financial stability. Now, it's showing cracks. What was once a symbol of economic dominance is becoming a warning sign of a potential collapse. The BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are making calculated efforts to break away from US dollar reliance, and their success could reshape the global financial order. BRICS is not just resisting pressure from the West. It's thriving. As BRICS accelerates its de-dollarization strategy, the US and its allies find themselves in an increasingly precarious position. Robert Kiyosaki, along with other experts, has long sounded the alarm, pointing to America's unsustainable debt and the declining value of the dollar. But the BRICS coalition, with its growing economic clout, is pushing this financial shift even further, with new powerhouse members like the UAE, Iran, and Egypt joining the bloc. BRICS is bolstering its strength. These nations, having faced their own struggles under Western economic influence, are eager to align with BRICS and challenge the Western-dominated global system. So, how did we get here? How did a group of nations that once seemed peripheral to the global economy suddenly pose such a massive threat to the dollar's dominance? The answer lies in one word: de-dollarization. For decades, the global economy operated on the backbone of the US dollar, largely because it served as the world's reserve currency. Most international trade, especially in crucial commodities like oil, was conducted in dollars. This gave the US enormous influence, allowing it to impose economic sanctions and control global financial systems. BRICS, understanding the risks of being tied to the dollar, recognized they needed to act. The tipping point came in 2022, when the US imposed heavy sanctions on Russia following its invasion of Ukraine. By freezing Russian assets and cutting it off from global trade, the US inadvertently sent a message to BRICS nations: the dollar was being weaponized, and any nation could be next. Since then, BRICS has worked tirelessly to establish alternative payment systems and prioritize trade in local currencies. The bloc's expansion with the inclusion of new members has only strengthened its resolve. These nations have faced economic challenges under Western influence and are eager to craft a new financial order that sidelines the dollar. There's also a political element to this shift. BRICS represents a coalition of countries that have long been under the thumb of Western economic and political decisions. By reducing their reliance on the dollar, they are not only gaining economic freedom but sending a clear message to the West: we will not be controlled. While the US dollar still holds a significant share of global reserves, its dominance is steadily declining. The Atlantic Council's Dollar Dominance Meter shows a 14% drop in global reserves held in dollars since 2001. This decline isn't just financial. It symbolizes a broader shift in global power dynamics. As BRICS continues its push for de-dollarization, the dollar's grip on the world economy is weakening. The financial empire built around the dollar is eroding, and BRICS is positioning itself at the forefront of a new global financial landscape. So how did the West miss the signs? That's a question many are asking. The warnings were there, but Western leaders either failed to see them or chose to ignore them. Now, they're scrambling to address a crisis that's spiraling out of their control. One of the West's biggest mistakes was underestimating BRICS. For years, the bloc was seen as an informal group of developing nations, nowhere near as influential as the US or Europe. This arrogance blinded Western powers to the fact that BRICS was quietly but steadily building a coalition that would one day challenge the very foundation of the global financial system. Sanctions were the West's primary tool for dealing with countries that didn't comply with its political and economic policies. But Western leaders didn't realize that sanctions also eroded trust in the global financial system. The USA decision to freeze Russian assets in 2022 was the final straw for BRICS. It was clear that the US would use its currency as a weapon against any country that didn't play by its rules. BRICS responded by fast-tracking its efforts to develop alternative financial systems. These new networks allow them to trade without relying on the dollar, cutting the US out of the loop. Meanwhile, the West continued to believe in the dollar's untouchable status. This overconfidence wasn't just misguided, it was dangerous. As Robert Kiyosaki has pointed out, the cracks in the U.S. financial system have been visible for years. Massive federal debt, an inflated stock market, and declining global trust in the dollar have all contributed to the current crisis. Rather than addressing these issues head-on, the West doubled down on old strategies, and now they're facing the consequences. The decline of the US dollar isn't just an economic problem, it's a sign of a much larger shift. The West has been operating on outdated economic models and a misplaced sense of superiority, while BRICS has been adapting, innovating, and building a future that doesn't revolve around the dollar. As BRICS strengthens its position, the U.S. finds itself in a rapidly shrinking corner. But can BRICS fully replace the U.S. as the world's leading economic power? In many ways, it already has. The West's grip on global trade has been weakening for years, and BRICS has seized the opportunity to build new economic alliances and infrastructure that will shape the future of international commerce. The new development bank NDB, set up by BRICS, is already providing an alternative to the World Bank and the IMF, institutions traditionally controlled by Western powers. The NDB is funding infrastructure projects in the global South, providing countries with an option that doesn't come with the strings attached to Western lending. As the US dollar continues to lose its influence, the question for the West is, what's next? Can the US and its allies adapt to a world where they no longer hold the reins of global power? Or will they continue clinging to their fading dominance? As the dust settles, it's becoming increasingly clear that the U.S. is running out of options. The dollar, once the backbone of American global influence, is rapidly losing its role as the go-to currency for international trade. And as BRICS continues to push for de-dollarization, the U.S. is becoming more isolated. Former President Donald Trump recently warned that countries abandoning the dollar would face a 100% tariff on their goods entering the U.S. But this threat seems hollow. BRICS nations, particularly China, have already built extensive trade networks that don't rely on the U.S. market. The era of the U.S. being the world's undisputed economic leader is ending. Even the U.S. military, long seen as the ultimate tool for maintaining American dominance, may not be enough to reverse this trend. BRICS nations are not just building economic alliances, they are also strengthening their political and military ties. China and Russia, two of the most influential BRICS members, are already aligning to challenge U.S. military power. The U.S., once the world's unchallenged leader in both military and economic power, is facing a new reality. As the dollar's dominance wanes, the question for the U.S. is clear. What's next? Will the U.S. and its allies adapt to the new world order, or will they try to hold on to their fading influence? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you for watching Noble Black News, where we strive to bring you the real stories and perspectives that truly matter. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your community, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content. Together, let's continue to uncover the untold stories and celebrate the achievements of the global Black community. Stay tuned for more powerful stories. Until next time.